Central banks and regulators are facing a big data problem amid innovation and steadily increasing regulation across the financial landscape, as well as the number of firms and disclosures they must supervise, is rapidly demanding more resources. The challenge is because regulators are constantly incentivized to demand additional information and reporting. The more timely and granular the data, the better, enabling supervisors to spot vulnerabilities and detect critical risks, leading to more effective supervision. However, the logical extension of this desire for granularity is to do away with the time and template-based reporting cycles entirely, shifting us away from a more point-in-time snapshot in favor of an automated data flow between regulators and regulated entities. However, collecting, assessing, and applying data at scale is incredibly complex, and this is what brings us here today, to delve into the developing trends in SupTech that allow us to unlock the potential of mountains of data, robust communication workflows, and deep regulatory engagement. And with that, I'd like to welcome our extra special guests, Joanne Horgan, Director of Product Management, SupTech with Regnology, and Raymond He, Sales Director, Asia Pacific, Regnology. Welcome, Joanne and Raymond.
Thanks, Bradley.
Excellent. As a starting, Joanne, it'd be good to get from your perspective, what are the supervisory authorities' common challenges when implementing SupTech solutions?
Yeah, I think you pointed out in your intro there that we are seeing an increased interest in the use of SupTech for collecting more granular data, for big data analytics and AI ML. And probably what we see across our customer community, we work with about 40 supervisory authorities, and we collaborate with the BIS and Cambridge SupTech Lab, and we see quite common challenges. The first thing, as I mentioned, is while supervisors want to use SupTech innovations like AI ML, as I mentioned, it's essential that they first have scalable, secure platforms for high quality data acquisition, and whether that's collecting granular data directly from firms or from other sources. And the first challenge that we see in SupTech implementation is probably the skills set and the capabilities that are needed. So supervisory authorities have to continuously develop their supervisor skill set to match the increasing digitalization of financial services and the emerging risks. And where we see some weaknesses, especially, are in kind of specialized areas like IT, cyber risk, and fintech, regtech, SupTech. The second challenge that we probably see is that a lot of supervisory technology is implemented in in-house bespoke application, maybe siloed solutions, and that can create a web of sort of tactical solutions for single use cases, and that can become over time quite expensive and time consuming to maintain. So while it's really important that supervisors upskill their supervisory team, for example, and they allow them to innovate and try out new technologies, when it comes to actually productionizing that, it can end up that you end up with this siloed approach to SupTech, and sometimes multiple tactical solutions doing very similar things. So collecting data for insurance data versus banking data, and using different solutions. So for us, what we try to help our customers with is, it doesn't have to always be a build versus buy approach. We encourage that you can have a buy and build approach. So you can have, you can engage with vendors in the market, you can buy certain technologies and then build on top of those. So looking at, I think this second challenge around sort of creating a web of maybe hard to maintain solutions over time. We do see supervisors now moving towards an approach where they will engage in vendors for certain things. They will use their internal skills that they're building, and then they have a platform where they can build their own regulatory data models, rules, workflows, and algorithms, for example. And then probably the third big challenge, I think, and probably the one that vendors struggle with a lot, is procurement. So we see that when it comes to procuring solutions, if a supervisor does decide to go out to the market, it's typically quite an arduous process. So we're looking at public procurement guidelines, RFPs, etc. And so probably what we advise is it's really important to try out new technologies. It's really important to have these innovation hubs, and then when going out to the market, make sure that you're talking to different vendors, talking to the BIS, getting upskilled, and try to reduce that unfortunately quite arduous procurement process, I think, that definitely that vendors find as well. So there are ways around that. We see some really good innovations in Europe, for example, where they have a an APCO process, which allows, easier procurement of solutions from vetted vendors, etc.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, first things first, I mean, Raymond, you're uniquely positioned given your role working across different parts of Asia. I mean, from your perspective, are there any subtle nuances in different parts of this world compared to other regions, or are supervisors merely struggling with the same issues?
Yes, they are. I mean, they are struggling with similar issues and more. Many supervisors in APAC are still using their decade-old legacy system, and they do not have enough knowledge and expertise in the areas mentioned by Joanne. As a result, they face many issues when they start to collect more data, when they process more data, they store more data, they analyze more data. Issues like data quality, scalability, efficiency, transparency, 360-degree view of regulated entities are common topics in our conversation with them. So as you can see, the list is quite long. They are also struggling with new requirements. As you know, the new requirement will be things like Basel IV, ESG, IFRS 17, crypto assets, and many more. So in Europe, supervisors follow a common standard framework along with predefined taxonomy and regulatory reporting requirements set by EBA or ECB. Whereas if here in APAC, each country has to come out with their own solution for those new requirements. As you can see, it's quite a lot, yeah, for one regulator to handle so many areas of new requirements. So at Regnology, I mean, we are well positioned. We build standard software solution and implementation best practices based on 30 years of experience working with 40+ regulators around the world. We can help. We can help this supervisor to jumpstart their SupTech journey.
Similar but different, I think, is kind of the core message there. I mean, Joanne, it'd be great to learn a little bit more about Regnology's, vision of how SupTech will change the supervisor's role. Do you have any, I guess, cases or examples of these types of engagements?
Yeah, sure. I think, just first of all, I suppose to say, Regnologys Vision really is to connect regulators in the industry so that we can drive financial stability, transparency, and sustainable future. Our goal really is to connect, as I mentioned, regulators in the industry. And why is that? Because we see SupTech and RegTech really as two sides of the same coin. So what we've seen in the industry over the last number of years is a huge amount of inefficiency, as Ray mentioned as well. And with the increasing number of new regulations, it really is important that the supervisors, they are being upskilled, and we do see that. We do see a lot of upskilling in IT and cybersecurity and in all of these areas, in fintech. But I think, supervisors' roles, while they, their ultimate goal always is to identify potential weak points in the system and take prompt corrective action. But what we're seeing with the increased digitalization of the financial services industry is that supervisors need to be keeping pace with that. And where we see this changing is really having this more automated data flow between regulated firms and the regulator, and also communication. So yes, there is a lot of sort of structured data that supervisors collect and use then to analyze and gain insights and look at key risks, etc. But more and more, there's also communication that needs to happen. So moving that away from letters and emails, we do see supervisors having to have a much more, I would say, connected and sort of more real-time connection with the industry. And some of that, as I mentioned, will be through APIs and collecting data, more granular data, and getting more real-time insights into what's happening at a firm. But equally, just being able to communicate more efficiently and have workflows that are more joined up between the regulated industry and with the supervisors. And where we have seen this happen already, and I hate using the C word, but during COVID we saw this. There's a real need during that period for supervisors to collect data and collect it fast, and to get, to get information, to move away from maybe some of the older processes that they were doing, like on-site inspections, for example. They couldn't be on site anymore. And, we helped a number of our customers during that period with, getting out new surveys, new questionnaires out to firms quickly, and adding digital sort of communication facilities into the platform as well. So that's where, we do see supervisors. I wouldn't say their role. I mean, their role will always be ultimately the same, but I think the tools that they're using and how they interact with the industry is changing quite a bit. And that's where we see technology with every industry that we look at. It's being digitalized, and things like cloud, for example, where you get that scalability that you need for granular data processing. We see a lot of that maybe. That the hosting of solutions, for example, supervisors don't necessarily need that in-house anymore. So they should really be focused on using the supervisory expertise that they have for unlocking the insights and the data that they're collecting, and not so much on validating data or hosting IT systems, etc. So we do see cloud coming into it quite a bit. We have a number of customers already moving to the cloud. And it's a bit slower than it is maybe on the banking side, but we do see that happening quite a bit over the next number of years. And then, we are seeing regulators now and supervisory authorities having a much more openness to, as I said, to using new technology like API connectivity and sort of automated submission from the industry. There's quite a bit of talk about sort of pulling data from firms as well. And what we see there is there's a number of different types of data. There is still some template data, as you mentioned, is moving towards more granular, but there will continue to be some level of template data. We think there is a possibility for pulling data in certain cases, but that would require some governance changes, I think, with the industry. But definitely the role of the supervisor, probably what we see is there is a lot more openness now to being more collaborative with the industry and the wider ecosystem, such as vendors like ourselves, and even the industry bodies. The BIS are very active now in SupTech innovation. They've got their innovation hubs, and we do see a lot more sharing, I think, of content and sharing of expertise between regulators when it comes to SupTech as well. And that's where, as I mentioned, with our community of regulators that we have, we're very keen to connect them and make sure that they're sharing how they're using SupTech's innovation, how they're using the solutions that they have.
So Raymond, Joanna mentioned that SupTech and RegTech are the same side of the same coin, right? If that's the whole truth, then how is Regnology helping solve supervisors' issues to unlock the potential of these types of technologies across Asia Pacific?
So I'll share a few case study with you. Again, no two regulators have the same set of pain point. They have different start point. They have different areas. So if you look at one of the things that we do for one of our clients in APAC, we offer comprehensive managed services. This is a set of services that we offer to our client post system go live. After we implemented the system, when it goes live, the client may face issues with resource gap or expertise gap. This is where we come in and we offer managed services to tailor to each of the client requirement. Brunei Central Bank, they're using our service to help them to run and change the bank process. So again, we in Regnology, we have many service packages. It's all about understanding the customer requirement, where are their pain points. Sometimes they have the issues with retaining the right expertise or recruiting the right experts. Yeah, if they cannot find the resource, that's where we come in and we offer managed service. Joanne also mentioned about our cloud solution. Yeah, again, as you know, the cloud solution is not a question of if, it's a question of when. The regulators are the one that approve all the digital banks that operate in APAC. Yeah, they also saw a lot of GSIP, all the big banks using cloud. They themselves are also getting very excited. They are also exploring a cloud solution for themselves. A good example is if you look at APRA. APRA is the supervisory body in Australia. They're using cloud for regulatory content development, and they also use cloud for test environment. Why? Is because in a cloud environment, it's very easy to bring up an environment and test it, and then bring down the environment. So the scalability is just crazy, yeah, and at very low cost. And I think regulators are realizing that they can use this type of technology to be more efficient and more cost effective. Joanne also mentioned about connecting the regulated entities with the regulator. So APRA Connect is a data collection portal. It allows regulated entities to do automated submission via API. Essentially, the machine submission. You don't have to log in, put in your password, go in the portal, click certain button to upload the file. So it's done behind the scene, yeah. So again, regulators realize this is very efficient, very convenient for the regulated entities, especially the big one, right? Where they have massive data they need to submit. This is definitely the way to go. I also like to mention about best practices here, because we've been in this business for over 30 years. We have collected a lot of knowledge about not just the software side, but also the processes, the know-how. So here we also offer, and Regnology also offer best practice advisory services. A good example is MAS. They are trying to build their own center of excellence via self-service tools and processes. And they are also seeking and getting mentoring from Regnology. So these are my examples. If we have time, I can go to many more examples.
No, unfortunately with that, we're actually out of time. So we do invite our listeners to email us if they have any additional questions, or visit regulationasia.com to keep track of this space. I also obviously want to thank our special guest, Joanne Horgan, Director of Product Management, SupTech at Regnology, and Raymond He, Sales Director, Asia Pacific, also with Regnology, for our insightful discussion today. Thank you for everyone who's joined us, and we look forward to speaking to you all again very soon. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.